Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Candace Neu, and you're watching the Neu Agenda, and I am your host. I'm so excited about tonight's show. Obviously, it is October, and we are living it up in full-on, beautiful Halloween attire, so I'm excited. I got my little sweater dress that's kind of short. I've never worn a dress on my show before, awkward, and some boots. And it's time for pumpkin spice, all the things. I actually don't like pumpkin spice, but don't judge me. And, hot beverages and spooky things. So we're going to be talking about some spooky things today. Ha, ha, ha. And before we get there, though, I do want to say that I'm really, really excited. We just started our Career Pathways program, which is an internship program helping people, not young people, not necessarily old people, just people, adults, reach their goals of getting into the industry. And so I'm super excited because we have 6 new interns as of today, and we are working with them on a number of projects, and it's kind of exciting. If you want to find out more, check out katharsismedia.org/intern and let us know if you're interested. So we will be looking for sponsors for that program. It's a career pathways program, so we are literally helping our interns to develop the skills and tools that they need to be professionals on live film sets. So think about sponsoring. It's a great program. That being said, we have some amazing programs happening in New Mexico, and something really fun and spooky this way comes. I'm so excited to bring on a good friend of mine and soon to be a good friend of yours. Tabby, are you there? Come on out. Woo! Let's give her up a round of applause. Hello, darling. I'm so excited for you to be on my show. Thank you so much. You can sit right there. You can move the pillows right under there if you want. There's all kinds of things I don't know. You're going to have to find places for them. I'm not sure. It's like I got sloppy people in my show. I don't know what to do with all this stuff. So Tabby and I actually met working on a show with Zakaya Hansen, a show called When We Walk. And it's the pilot. We're not going to talk about it today, actually. But that's all I think I'm allowed to say. I don't know what I'm allowed to say about it. So I'm just going to stop there and say, hey, we were on a show together. And she was a PA, yes, which I thought was super cute. I mean, I didn't mean that I thought you were super cute.
I'll take that.
I mean, not that I didn't think that. That's not what I just meant that, I thought it was super cute because you were super, clearly, in more control than a traditional PA. And I literally looked at Brianna, who's my DP, and Emma, I love you. You're not here. You're in Florida, so don't be offended. But I was like, girl, that girl needs to be an AD. And then you were like, I don't actually, that's not my favorite, but.
No, it's not.
But also speaks to the fact that you obviously have some experience outside of just being, I don't want to say just being a PA. PAs are very important.
PAs are very important.
They're very important.
It's also a fun job sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a really fun job sometimes. But my point is just that you have some other experience. So I'd love to hear about your journey getting into the industry and why you picked this particular thing to do with your life.
That's a very long story,
Mm-hmm.
but
we have a whole show. It's a whole hour.
That's fair. I got into the film industry because I'd always been a creative, and I met my husband in film, and so it just seemed like a natural progression of my creativity, and I found my way into editing, and then
so you married into film.
I did, but
Interesting. I married in the Catholic Church once. That didn't work out so well. So
it's a little different.
Yeah, it wasn't really. Husbands aren't really my thing.
It's okay.
Yeah,
they're not for everyone. But yeah, so I got into film kind of because my husband, he introduced me to it. It was one of those things where I didn't really know that I could be in the industry. You know? I think a lot of people kind of just land in film as creatives, and so that's what happened. I wanted to be able to help him on his projects, and so I learned how to edit, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm a jack of all trades already. Why don't I just start producing? And then that led me on a production path, and here I am.
Well, that's awesome. So you edit. I love editors. I have a very dear place in my heart for editors because I've spent about a decade and a half editing, and I am so done editing. I don't even want to, it's to the point where, I don't even want to edit, credits.
Like husbands, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, that's I feel like this guy has something. It didn't work.
The tip of the toe on the other foot.
I quit. Never mind. It was going to be funny. So,
anyway.
jokes are for everyone.
Joke didn't land.
Oh my God.
okay.
Okay, wow. Woo! So there's not alcohol in my beverage tonight, I swear. Although there should be. Maybe it would be better. What kind of projects have you had the opportunity? And you're not from here, is that right?
I am not from here. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I grew up in Southwest Oklahoma and then moved to Oklahoma City and went to college.
Okay.
But I most recently moved here from North Carolina, where I spent about 8 years in Asheville, North Carolina, and kind of found my footing in the commercial world and also in the horror world. So, yeah, I've dabbled in a little bit of everything.
It's convenient that I happen to have you on here with all my fun. This set was lovely decorated by the incredible Monique Candelaria and John Doubleman, who's here. He brought stuff. I don't know if he decorated. I feel like he just sat there.
Moral support.
Moral support. That's right.
Yes.
But yeah. So what kind of things have you? You said that you were in the commercial world. What kind of things have you had the opportunity to dabble in?
So in commercial land, I've kind of worked in a pretty wide range of things. I've worked with everything from like small businesses, local businesses, to like larger companies like AARP, and mostly doing editing, where my husband does like the production side of things, where he's camera and director. So that's been my commercial experience, but my like passion is the narrative side of things. So yeah, I've done a decent amount of short films. I've produced probably about 20 short films at this point, actually in like pre-production on 2 more.
Okay.
And both like horror, which is my like first love, but also drama and comedy and everything else.
So growing up,
Yeah.
I was always not a fan of horror because I get scared really easily.
Sure.
And I have nightmares. And even like to this day, I'm like, I'm not so sure I like to watch scary movies. I'm trying to be a grown-up. And so I've been like trying to watch scarier things. Like I watched The Haunting of Hill House.
Sure.
And that was scary.
It was.
And I was like, you know what? I survived, and I did not get haunted by the crooked neck lady like I thought I would. I really, saying it out loud, I actually feel a little bit like
There's a little anxiety around it.
I might, when I was, God, I don't want to age myself. When I was younger, and The Ring came out,
Classic.
and oh God, it's not a classic. I mean, okay. But so it came out, and I at the time I was engaged, and we were in Indiana, visiting my fiance's parents, and my aunt happened to live in Wisconsin, and I have never not since I was very little, met this particular aunt in person in like my adult life, or like at that time. I was barely an adult at that time, just so you know. But like I hadn't seen her for like 12 or 15 years, like since I was like super tiny and didn't remember even what she looked like, right? So it was like maybe a 4-hour drive from where we were staying in Indiana, and so for some dumb reason, I thought it would be smart for me and my fiance to watch this scary movie, and then I was going to drive to Wisconsin by myself for 4 hours and watch and stay the night at my aunt's house and connect with my cousin Marissa. And it was like, so I'm driving and it's getting dark and I'm literally freaking out, and I'm thinking that like any minute that girl's going to show up in the back of my car and kill me, and I'm freaking out. And then I get to my aunt's house, and it's an unfamiliar place. You should never do that when you're already scared. Go stay in an unfamiliar place, right? And I remember that night I did not sleep at all. I had the blankets over my head like a freaking child, okay? And I'm literally sitting there, excuse me, sorry, with the blankets over my head, and I'm I absolutely believe that girl is standing outside, right there on the corner of the bed. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have nightmares about it now. Oh my God. And she's like right there, and if I pull down the covers, she's going to kill me. And I literally stayed like that until it was morning, and it was terrible. And then I when I got up, it was finally, the sun was out, and I was able to like peek out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. And then I had to drive back that night to go back to Indiana, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
I broke up with him.
Staying in an unfamiliar place doesn't help.
I jumped him. I was like, that's it. You're a jerk.
I mean,
I'm just kidding. That's not why. I did. But not because of that.
maybe it played a role. Who knows?
called you husbands.
Not for everyone.
Oh, wow. You know, I feel like there are probably lots of therapists out in the world that like watch my show and are like, this girl needs help. I do have a therapist, in case you're wondering.
Everyone should.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, so why horror?
Well, that's kind of another thing I just fell into. So I got into horror because some friends of mine are avid horror fans.
Okay.
They live in Tennessee, and they one of them has black walls and movies from floor to ceiling, and goes to every horror convention. He loves horror, and he was like, "Well, you guys are filmmakers. Let's make a fan series." So we made a Michael versus Jason board
Oh my
games,
gosh, that's hilarious.
fan series for YouTube. And it was just this fun thing at first, but then it was we're having way too much fun throwing blood at people in costumes.
Right.
And so Mason, my husband, decided to write a short script, and he and I and one actor made a short film in our home at the time, and we were going to put it on YouTube, and one of our friends was like, "No, you should really submit it to festivals." And we're like, "Okay, fine." We did, and it did really well. So then it introduced us into the horror community, which is by far the most supportive film community I've ever found.
Nice.
And so it kind of nurtured us, and we decided to keep pursuing it because we collaborate really well in horror, and it's a fun genre. There's so much you can do within horror.
So you like to give people nightmares?
I mean,
does that make you feel bad? I mean, I'm just wondering because I'm a grown up and probably
it's
gonna
your
have a
choice to
hard time
watch.
sleeping. Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I think there's a wide range of horror. I think that you can bring drama into horror. I think you can bring comedy into horror, and there's a lot of different things you can do with it. And that's one reason I really love it. It's a really flexible genre.
Well, I love that. You keep mentioning they keep falling into things, and I think that it's been a lot more maybe intentional than that. But we can talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
I think that this is actually a great time to talk about maybe being a little bit more intentional. Okay,
Sure.
and you want to shy away from your intentionality about giving people nightmares, but I think there's some intentionality there as well. So let's go to this week's intentional moment.
For today's intentional moment, we're going to talk about the 6 most pivotal things. It's a daily practice that can really be a game changer. So the idea of the 6 most pivotal things, sometimes I refer to it as the 6 most important things, and it's something that my mentor taught me a long time ago. We won't talk about how long ago, but and it's the idea that every single day, I think that sometimes we get very overwhelmed with the lists that we write and how much we have to accomplish, right? And so sometimes I'll get up and I'll write a whole list of everything that needs to happen, and sometimes that list fills up an entire page or even a page and a half, and it leaves me feeling actually really, really overwhelmed. And I try to tackle those things, and sometimes I think about what needs to get done absolutely today. The problem with that is that we're not accomplishing all the things on the list, which means that we're obviously going to leave some things out, and some of those things might actually be more pivotal than some of the other things, right? So we talk about pivotal. It's the idea that we are picking the things that are of crucial importance in relation to the development or success of something else. What that means is that when you create your list of all those things that you need to do, first of all, we need to pause, and I'm going to invite you to pick out only 6 things. Doesn't mean that's all you're going to accomplish today, but what it means is that you're going to take the 6 most pivotal things, the most crucial things, and those are the 6 you're going to do. And when I clarify that about crucial and pivotal, I really want you to think about that they are the items of the highest leverage towards your goal. So they're the things that are going to create the most movement, right? The highest leverage points. So it's important to note that those items are not always the most, what we might call, important. They're not necessarily the most urgent as far as time goes. They may not even be the most annoying, right? They might be the ones that are really kind of quietly hanging out in the background, but those are the items that are going to create the most growth or the most movement towards your goal. And so when you're looking at your list, I invite you to go through and really find the things that are going to make the most difference. Put those things in a separate list. Call that your 6 most pivotal moments, or your 6 most pivotal things. And work through those things. So here, I've got a list of 6 most pivotal things, and we can take a look at that. And so if we're looking at this, we're going to zoom in a little bit closer so you guys can actually see my chicken scratch here. So you see I've got 6 most pivotal things. If you're looking at this, don't judge me. I thought I was going to do this lesson before the SMART goals. And so I was going to talk about SMART goals here. So if you're looking at this and you're tuning in from last week and you're like, those aren't SMART goals. I know, I did it on purpose. I'm sorry, that was stupid. But go back to that list. So on here, you see that I've written down things that are pivotal, right? So number 1, write daily. Number 2, follow up on emails. Number 3, meet with Elizabeth. You don't know who that is. It's fine. Number 4, finalize IATSE deal. Number 5, build schedule. Number 6, finish grants. So these are things that I've added to my list that were most pivotal. Obviously, I'm not going to accomplish all of these today, and we're going to talk about what's wrong with this list next week. We already know that these aren't SMART goals, but we're going to talk about what's wrong with this list. So I just want you to think about the fact that these are the 6 most pivotal things. You'll notice that then I have a line, and then it says most timely, and then after that I have another line, and it says 5:30 p.m. self-care. So what I want you to think about when you're looking at this list, and you can look back at me now, is that first of all, we have our 6 most important, most pivotal things, your highest leverage items. Okay, you're looking and you're focusing on those things. Once you've accomplished those things, all 6 of them, okay, if you hit your what my 5:30 is that's my time that I am leaving the office. That is when I am turning off my work and I am going to focus on my family. I'm going to focus on my relationships with my partner. I'm going to focus on myself. And so that's a hard out for me. I've given a time, and that is what that means. It's a hard out. It means at 5:30 p.m., I'm done. So if I get 4 done, you know what? I got 4 done. I will tell you that most people do not accomplish 6 important things in their day. So if you can accomplish 6 things every single day, then you're actually making much more progress towards your goals than most people are on average anyway. So you are going to go faster. If you're consistent with this, you're going to go further than the average person anyway. So give yourself that time. Set it up. What time is it? What is your heart out? Mine is 5:30 p.m. I got to go home. I got kids. I got things to do, right? So 5:30 p.m., I'm going to do that. If I get through my 6 items and there is time between my 6 item completion and my 5:30 hard out, then I'm going to go back to my list. I'm going to look at the things that are most timely. And I will tell you, if you guys are watching, or you're tuning in and you're thinking, Candace, you know what, I emailed you like 15 times already and you haven't gotten back to me. I don't want you to feel bad. Well, this is probably not nice. But my focus is going to be on what are the most pivotal things that I need to focus on right now to make sure that I'm hitting my targeted goal by the end of the year. And so today, I'm going to focus on those things that are the highest leverage points. And the item in my inbox that even if I've received 15 emails about it, or even if it seems very pressing for the other person, it may not be the most pivotal thing that I need to do to accomplish my goal. And so that's where my focus really needs to be. And I know that sometimes I can feel like, oh, but I need to get back to this person or that person or whatever. And you can certainly be polite and say, hey, I'm working on it. But pivotal does not always mean that it is what somebody else thinks is the most urgent or even the most annoying or whatever. It means that it is the highest leverage point. And so sometimes you're going to have those emails sitting in your box. And so you want to then, after you've gone through your 6 most pivotal things and you have some time, then take a minute and go in and look at those things that are most timely. You know, I really need to get back to so-and-so because they've emailed me 4 times and I know that this is coming up and I need to work on it. So let's get there. So it's not about not doing those other things. It's about prioritizing the things that are pivotal and then learning to be okay and to accept if you don't make it through that list. And then if you're finding that you're never making it through the list and there's just a giant list of other things piling up, we're actually going to start talking about that tomorrow or next week. So tune in for next week's intentional moment. And for now, I'll leave you with 6 most pivotal things. Thanks for tuning in.
So I know I rambled a little bit there. So Tabby, tell me about how do you intentionally pursue and chase after your dreams?
Well, there are a few things. I actually spend a decent amount of time like mapping out my schedule so that I can be super intentional with my time. I always start my day with a walk with my dog and my husband. So there's like 30 minutes of like movement and like not being around people and it's just us and we're outside. But I go through my day and I block out like hour or 2 hour chunks of time because I am a little ADHD.
Yeah. We're actually going to talk about time blocking and task listing and time blocking in the next 2 weeks. So it's a little preview for y'all.
Great.
We're headed there, so I feel like we have some similar energy.
For sure. I have to block my time because I am producing a lot of films right now. I'm starting a festival. I work at Panavision some. Like, I have so many things, and I'm also
Right.
going to school.
Yikes.
So I have to block the times out, and then I'm
Yeah.
like 2 hours on this and 1 hour on this. But it helps keep me focused, because otherwise I'm just like bouncing around and I don't accomplish anything.
Right. Well, and I find when I don't, then I am actually like kind of spinning, and I accomplish actually nothing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Um,
You're busy, but you're
And I
not
don't even know what I
productive.
did. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I love that. You're busy but not productive. And I think that's the big question, guys. Are we being busy or are we being productive? Because those
Sure.
are very different things. And I can be very productive and still have time in my day if I'm picking those pivotal moments and those pivotal things. But if I'm not, then I can be busy all day long and have accomplished nothing and not be any closer to my dreams.
For sure.
And so, people are always asking me, like, Candace, how do you get so much shit done? And I'm like, I am actually really good at this. So I am actually teaching a master class. It's called Getting Shit Done.
Oh, yeah.
A master class for those people who really want to tune in. Okay, anyways, I know we have another guest hanging out with us today, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. And I'm super excited because I know that y'all are doing some cool things, and yeah. So I'm going to bring out my next guest. I believe he's sitting over yonder. Mason, are you there? Hello, darling. Thank you so much for being here. Woo! How are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. Hey, world out there, if you are looking for a phenomenal BTS photographer, there are several. Oh my God, I killed this guy. I'm sorry. There are several, but this guy is actually really great at it. I don't know that that's like his passion, but he did do BTS for When We Walk, and the pictures came out really, really beautiful, and they were just really well done. So thanks for that. And
Thank you.
that's how I met Mason as well. So, I mean, kind of the cat's right out of the bag, but y'all seem to know each other.
Yes, we're husband and wife.
Amazing. So she starts her day off going on a walk with you every day.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that's a big part of our day for sure.
She walks
Yes.
her husband.
I walk my husband. My dog walks both of us.
That
you
makes
know.
sense.
She
I
is-
mean,
She definitely has to walk me out of bed. For
well,
sure.
I feel like that's important. So, Mason, why don't you tell me a little bit about you? Obviously, she married into film, so she
Yeah.
married you, who was in film already. You dragged her along,
Yeah.
Which is interesting. She's a convert to the dark side.
Never thought about it like that.
Well, now you will forever. Congratulations. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, she covered it relatively well, but yeah, my version is, I met her while I was in film school, and we were doing a capstone project, and at a coffee shop that she was working at the time, and I was actually acting, which I don't do anymore. I'm much happier
He was
behind.
acting.
Oh, please. I was actually, don't do that anymore. But she worked at the coffee shop at the time, and I saw her in the back because she had to watch it, and I made my move. I asked her what book she was reading, and she completely shut me down. Yeah. So, but I stayed consistent. Eventually, I got her on a date, and then
How did you? What is that? Did you just like stalk her? What does that mean?
yeah, I
when you
went to
stay-
her house a couple of times. No,
We had
No.
some friends that we had in common after the shoot, and just kept bumping into each other.
Okay.
and
Yes.
Okay.
That kind
yes,
of thing.
Oh, good.
tactfully
There was no
bumping
stalking, or
in,
we wouldn't be here.
tactfully bumping into
You
her.
intentionally made friends with her friends so you could hang out with her.
Oh
I
wow,
see.
you're here too. Crazy. Wow.
Weird. So weird. I didn't realize you worked here.
But anyways, yeah. So I told her I'm a pretty frank person. I was very upfront with her, and I said that filmmaking is the only thing that I might be okay at, and I said that it's going to be a crazy ride, and it's the only thing I'm going to try to do with my life. And if you're cool with that, then let's do it. And she said, absolutely. Let's see what happens. And then we started doing shorts together in Oklahoma. Shortly after I graduated, we decided we wanted to move to, instead of LA or New York or one of the big titans of the film industry 8 years ago, we wanted somewhere more independent driven, somewhere where it's like smaller but growing. So we chose Asheville, North Carolina. And so
then the tax incentive was cut.
yeah, so the
Yeah.
tax incentives was cut in North Carolina, so like basically all the film work that was there went to Atlanta, which is why Atlanta's
Right.
so awesome in the film industry right now. So we kind of had to work from the ground up. I didn't even own a camera at the time, and we realized that no one was going to make movies for us. No one was going to write them, direct them, edit them. So we started a commercial company so that we can fund our passion stuff.
Right.
And one thing led to another, and we started doing films. She told the story of how we got into the horror world through my friend, who is a phenomenal photographer and filmmaker named Jeff Payne out of
Shout out Jeff Payne.
Shout out Jeff Payne out of Tennessee.
Nice.
Phenomenal photographer too.
Yeah.
I got into the horror realm through him. She mentioned I wrote a short. It was just she and I in a Goodwill budget, literally a Goodwill budget. And we made a short, and it went to festivals, and it did very well. And
It introduced us to a very large and
Yeah.
welcoming community.
one of the most welcoming communities that I never expected is the horror community. And so we realized that we had a knack in horror and telling our dramatic stories through horror,
Yeah.
lens of horror. And so we did 4, 5, 6 shorts while we were in Asheville. And we knew that we were ready when our last short, which is going to be premiering on Alter in October, or later this month.
What is that, Alter? What does that mean?
Alter is a streaming platform focused on short horror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
it's a
Shudder,
free.
but-
It's like Shutter, but for shorts. And so we're premiering our short, The Night Courier, on there October 11th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really exciting.
So it's the first time I got paid to make a movie, basically.
Well,
That's amazing.
Yeah, to make a movie narrative. So that felt great. Anyway, so after we did that, we knew that we wanted to upgrade to a bigger city, and we did a lot of research, and I do
There were
mean
many
a lot.
spreadsheets.
A lot of spreadsheets, a lot of graphs, and long story short, we ultimately decided that we wanted to do Albuquerque.
You wanted to do Albuquerque.
We
You
wanted to move.
do Albuquerque.
I'm going to do it. So,
I'm going to do it.
I mean, it feels like I've been doing it since I got here 2.5 months ago.
What exactly are we doing?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just making this up as I go. Move to Albuquerque.
Oh, okay. You're going to move out. Got
Yes,
it.
Yeah,
Got it.
so we chose Albuquerque. We moved here about 2.5 months ago, and the rest is history.
Did you get down?
Did I
from the
get
car?
down?
Did you get down from the car?
I did. I got down from the car.
That's good.
Thank goodness.
You're welcome.
I'd be in trouble if I didn't.
I'm just making sure that you. Anyway, so welcome to Albuquerque, and
Thank you.
I really appreciate you, divulging your love story about meeting Tabitha and pursuing her and this beautiful marriage that has melded into making all these, short films. And I was actually asking you how you found yourself interested in film.
Oh, okay.
We're on a whole tangent.
I did,
But,
the,
I
I did
mean-
the whole story.
But it was so beautiful, I had to let you continue. But why did you get involved in film? Obviously, you were already in film school when you met her, so
I
it
have
wasn't.
I have a lot of movie nerds in my family.
Yeah.
I think that the one I should credit the most is my grandmother.
Okay.
And my mom and my dad, they had me watch more tame movies, like a child should watch. But when I went to grandma's house, she would play, and I was like vastly too young to be watching it, but like she would play Fargo, like the
What
Coen
is
Brothers
that?
movie, the Coen Brothers movie Fargo.
Oh, okay.
And she would play like very more art house, more independent movies like that, and it made me kind of obsessed. And I started doing I went halfsies with my dad and bought like a Sony Handycam, and I just started doing commercials and fun projects with my friends.
And this is
even
when you were
before-
like, how old?
Oh boy,
You're
10.
pretty young.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, I started very young.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
always been into film. He's a rare breed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
yeah.
It's not something I found later in life. It just kind of naturally happened, and I never really have wanted to pursue anything else. It's weird. So I mean, I got in from a younger age, and then I found out while in high school that I could go to school to be a filmmaker. I didn't know that was a thing. And so I remember very vividly that I asked my counselor, like, hey, I want to be a film director. How do I do that? And I actually remember this very vividly, and it's really what drives me the most, is that she said, you should pursue something more realistic.
Oh.
And after I heard that, I was like,
You
This
should
is
definitely send them this episode.
I should if they're still a counselor.
Right? Find them
And
on Facebook.
So I remember when that was told to me, I was like, "This is what I want to do now."
Yeah,
Yeah, that game on.
absolutely. I mean, I love a good challenge,
Yes.
especially when being told that you can't do something that you absolutely know is part of who you are.
Yeah.
You're like, it's weird because I feel like that's in my existence, so it's probably going to happen.
Right.
Tell me again how I can't do that.
Yes.
So no, I feel that that's awesome. No, I don't know what I was going to say. Honestly, I lost it. There was something, and I was like, yeah, that was a good one. So yeah, back to that. Mm-hmm. So then you went to school.
Then I went to film school. Both my mom and my dad were incredibly supportive. We didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't go to like this massive university or Emerson in Boston. That's where I wanted to go. So I went to OCCC, which is Oklahoma City Community College, which is ran by a gentleman named Gray Fredrickson. And I didn't know this whenever I lived there, but Gray Fredrickson produced all the Godfather movies.
Okay.
And I learned producing and directing through him. And I went to film school, and basically I fell in love with it head over heels. And yeah, I mean, it was embedded in me ever since.
So you guys are just a couple of total horror movie nerds.
Pretty much.
And it's October, and you're on my show.
Yes.
And I think you guys are doing something. Are you guys doing something here in Albuquerque?
Just a little
besides just doing Albuquerque. I mean, whatever the hell that means, okay?
Yeah.
But like, so you're doing it. What else are you going to be doing here?
So we are starting a horror festival.
A horror festival? So weird. Okay.
So weird.
So weird.
So weird.
It's weird. It's convenient that you happen to be on my show to talk about it.
Right?
So weird.
Wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we decided kind of inadvertently when we moved here with a little coaxing to start a horror festival. We've always been really interested in starting a film festival of some sort. It's just like festivals are a ton of work.
They are. They're a
Like,
lot of work.
A ton of work. And it wasn't like high on my agenda when we got here, but some people said, why don't you try it? And I was like, okay, I got 2 months. Let's see if we can make this happen. October's coming.
Right?
So we went for it. Like we put posters out and we sent out emails to all of our horror friends, and we're like, hey, if we do this, like, will you send people our way? And they have pulled through.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time. So we're doing a 2-day event, October 30th and 31st at the Guild, which is an Albuquerque classic.
Of course.
And we had over 150 submissions, which is over 50 hours of films.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is a lot.
That's a lot.
We are not going to be able to show that many, but it was awesome to have that much support so
Yeah,
early
that's
on.
incredible.
So we've put together a really great lineup, and like we're really excited. We're going to do a few events around it as well. But yeah, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah.
You're half of it too.
I am. You're right. You do most of the heavy lifting, I must admit. But yeah, so we've actually always been interested and considered doing a festival in Asheville, but the market wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
So when we moved here, we did not have the intention of doing a festival, but it was suggested to us when people found out that we were in the horror community. And so we were like, wow, that's a lot of work only in 2 months. Okay, let's do it. And so we did.
We're very ambitious.
Yeah, to detriment sometimes. So it kept on getting bigger, even though it was supposed to be smaller. It was originally supposed to be an evening, then it became a day, now it became 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's as big as it's going to get this year.
Yeah.
But we do have really big ambitions with it. Next year, we're going to try to make it a 4-day event, depending on, how it goes this year, which it's looking very good, considering all the submissions we got. 150 submissions in 2 months is pretty awesome.
Right.
I did not expect that at all.
Yeah.
And it felt very good. But yeah, I mean, next year, something that we really want to do is incorporate panels and workshops and really cater to filmmakers.
I love that.
That's, there's a lot of horror festivals that are catered to fans, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's their approach. But we are inspired by festivals like Film Quest or our favorite Nightmares out of Ohio. Shout out Nightmares. And we want to take an approach towards filmmakers and teaching people and helping grow the filmmaking community especially here in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So.
We found horror to be a really inclusive community, and we think that like opening those doors to the Albuquerque filmmaker scene is something that hasn't really been done before and could be really exciting. So.
Well, I think it's awesome. I'm really excited, even though it's terrifying. I know that Katharsis Media is going to come out and support you guys however you guys need it, so we're really excited
Thank you.
about that.
Thank you so much.
And we're really excited about you guys being here on our show. I think you guys had some announcement, it's like a video teaser to announce some of the things we might be seeing at the festival this year.
Yes.
Why don't we go ahead and cut to that teaser, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Sweet.
Call me.
Okay, so the dolls or rabbits or whatever the fuck that was, oh my God, what is that? I was like, no. See, this is the problem. This is where I'm talking about you being intentional about ruining my life.
I can put it out there. It's your choice to take it in.
I'm working. You're in my workplace. Oh my God. I did invite you to be here, so I guess it makes sense. All right. So October 30th and 31st at the Guild. Tickets are on sale at darkredhorror.com. Opening today, as a matter of fact, October 1st. We're super excited. And anything we should know about the festival if we're coming out can we dress up? Is that encouraged? I mean, I just think about like, and this is not horror at all, but oh God, my brain is not even working. Like Rocky Horror Picture Show, like that's a thing that they actually used to do at the Guild in, I want to say October every year. I don't know why, but I do want to say that maybe it wasn't at the Guild, maybe it was at the Lobo. I don't know.
I
They
think
used to
they
do
are
it.
doing it this year, actually.
Okay, and
feel
so
like I
it's
saw
like
something.
a whole like get dressed up event and like as a whole thing. I like to dress up. That's what Halloween makes me think of, is dressing up.
Yes.
There's a costume contest.
There's a costume contest. I was trying to solicit things like that. See,
Yes.
these are the things I'm asking you about. There's a costume. Will there be candy? Will there be vendors? Will there be opportunities for other people to get involved? How can the community support you? We've got
Definitely.
about a month, so a couple of weeks. How can they reach out and support you guys as you put this up?
So we have tickets right now on sale. We're going to be doing a few different blocks of shorts and features, and we'll have tickets for those individual blocks, but you can also purchase a pass for the whole day. On Monday, the 31st, which is Halloween, we're doing a shorter block of films, and then we're doing a costume contest with a DJ and an after party and the whole shebang.
Food trucks.
That's a
And-
Monday.
Yeah, I know, but it's Halloween.
It's
I know,
Halloween.
I know.
People
I know.
make
You're right.
people make exceptions for
The big
Halloween.
exceptions.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah,
I was more thinking that we film my show on Monday, but obviously we're not going to do that. Like we're going to be at the
No, you're
festival.
going to be at the festival, obviously.
So we're going to film a different day. Yeah.
But the costume contest is hosted by our good friends at Sophia Productions, which are
Nice.
also a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So they're helping us put that together. DJ Clout is DJing, so it's going to be a whole thing in celebration of Halloween and film. Yeah, it's going to be a fun event.
I think that's exciting. That's awesome. Okay, so most important question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite horror movie?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you have to go first. You're better at choosing favorites than I am.
There's a lot of movies that I absolutely adore, but if you like had to say what was my absolute favorite, it would be The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Why? You have to expand. This is a talk show. You
Oh
have to talk.
boy! All right. When I watched it at the time, I had never seen anything like it. I'm a huge fan of horror movies where it's people trapped in a single space and with an interesting circumstance, and they have to figure out a way to get out. And whenever I was young, at the time, the only thing that I saw that was remotely similar to that was Alien. But then I saw The Thing, and it took everything from special effects to plot to just like a whole nother level. And yeah, to this day, I watch it, and it is still just as good. It has aged incredibly well.
Those practical effects, though,
The practical effects are second to none.
Huh.
Yeah, but also it's just it's an amazing example of what you can do with very little.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I admire it greatly. Also, I'm just a big frickin' John Carpenter fan.
Yes,
So,
for
yeah.
sure. Mine would be The Shining, I think, which is another classic. But I was introduced to Stephen King through his books, and that was one of the first books I remember reading. And I was probably too young to be, ingesting The Shining, but I was. And the book itself terrified me, but then when I realized there was a movie, it was like a whole different level of like
Terror?
taking in
cool.
terror,
Okay.
which is like,
Okay.
yeah.
The intentional ingestion of terror. Okay,
Yes.
continue.
I mean,
Tell me more.
But it's just a classic. I mean, it never gets old. It's so well done even to this day. I feel like it ages really well.
You find new things every time you watch
It's
it.
true.
It's an excellent example of what a psychological horror can be.
Yes.
Okay.
It's brilliant.
So I didn't watch a lot of horror movies growing up because I watched The Shining and some other shows, and they gave me nightmares, and I didn't like that. And I had a weird home life, so I had nightmares a lot, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't ever watch The Thing. I did watch The Shining, but when I was in the 4th grade, my sister and I were at one of my mom's friends' houses, and we watched a show called Ghost House.
Mhm.
Now, when I bring up Ghost House to people, they think of a different show than what I'm talking about. They are thinking about a show about like a house that like, I don't know, eats people or comes to life or something
Yeah.
like that, right? That's what you're thinking of,
Sounds like a gnarly show.
right? But that's what you're thinking of, right?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. This was not that. This is a show. It's called Ghost House. And in the house, there is a ghost, this girl, and she has this doll, a
I don't
clown
like
doll.
the doll stuff.
It's a clown doll. I literally feel like I'm shaking. Okay, and she like shows up, and then you die. And this is like I don't know. And it's more intense than that, whatever. But it is the most terrifying show I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
And when I bring it up to people, nobody else has ever heard of this show, this movie ever. I've looked it up on IMDb. I've looked it up, and I cannot find it anywhere.
Amazing.
So is this your favorite horror movie show?
No, but I just thought I'd ask you if you ever heard of it.
I've never
Not
heard of
heard of
that.
it.
No, I haven't.
It feels like I would want to watch it.
I think I'm being haunted.
It's possible.
So yeah, but no. So my sister and I, like, literally, we were talking about it again the other day because she brought it up to some other people, and she's like, "No, nobody's ever heard of this freaking show."
Yeah.
And so
Spooky.
it's a little bit creepy. And like, I looked it up on IMDb. I'm not kidding. Like 3 days ago, just because we were talking about it, and it is not anywhere at all.
Mm.
And I can't find any remnants.
At
of
least
this
you
thing on
have
the
someone
internet.
that can corroborate your remembering of it.
Yeah, you have a witness.
That's
good.
right. So I'm
So you're
not.
not completely crazy.
There's something like where you share a delusion.
That's
A shared nightmare, maybe.
Maybe,
I don't know what the term is for it. But yeah.
When we die and it's that girl, avenge me, avenge me.
Okay. Noted.
So, all right, so we've got Horror Festival here at the end of the month. What are you guys' plans after that? I mean, what do you got in the works? That you can talk about, obviously. like,
You want to go?
but what do you want to? Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we're actually working on another film with Sakaya Hansen.
Okay.
This is a horror comedy, so it's right up our alley, Comedy is Zakaya's thing, horror is ours, and it's going to be a beautiful little relationship. But then we're also in very early development of our own short that we're putting together with some really awesome local talent. I don't want to give too much away yet because we're still in early stages,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
coming soon. But then we're also trying to get our first feature off the ground,
Okay.
which is also a horror.
Of course. I just feel like it's like there's like a theme.
Yes, we
Right.
actually have 2 feature scripts that are based in horror. One is called Decomposer, and the other is Never See the Sun Again.
Decomposer. What is this?
So
Okay.
Decomposer is an eco horror.
What is that? What does that mean? Eco horror or like what?
The Earth is the bad guy,
Oh,
or the
okay.
villain, or the
Got it. Okay.
monster
Okay.
in a way. But we kind of brought it on ourselves, so
I mean, that makes sense. I feel like that's valid. We probably did, and
for
it's
sure.
probably real. Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, we're trying to get those off the ground, and like that's our next big thing is making Decomposer.
Both of those feature scripts were recently picked up in film festivals as well.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you come up with these crazy ideas?
I guess I answer that one.
Yeah, that's on you.
That's a great. Honestly, words. Like the word decomposer.
Okay.
I did not know that was a word. I know decompose is a word, decomposing, but I didn't know that decomposer.
You didn't know you could add an ER to
I
it?
didn't know. I just didn't know. And I
Alright,
thought that was like
alright.
the most metal name in the world.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was like, surely there's a metal band or another movie called Decomposer.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and it wasn't.
So you're like, oh, I have to make a movie then.
Pretty much.
And, well, after I really like examined the description and read what it meant, and I was like, yeah, I got to make a movie based off of this.
Yeah.
I did. Ironically, I did the same thing with a dark comedy. That was
Yeah.
my other feature that I wrote called Salinity, and I discovered the word salinity, and it inspired an entire short. So
Okay.
really,
An entire feature.
an entire feature.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really, words are what inspire me, and it's usually like I think of one scene, and then I just ask questions until I answer it in a feature length.
I love
version.
that. I'm gonna borrow that idea.
Take it.
I was really funny because we were today sitting around talking about words and titles and things. We're working on multiple, productions for the channel, and we're sitting around and trying to name this one show. And it's like we have the concept for the show, but we cannot come up with a freaking name for this show. And it's been
It's my favorite thing to do.
it's so terrible. And I hate, so like I name things like whatever, okay, like for example, there's a show that we're gonna put up, because this is the Ed channel, we're not doing horror, okay? So
Sure.
like on my like list of like things we're doing, it's like pre-K show, because I don't know the name of this freaking show, right? Zoo show, like this is sad. And these all have like, they have like decks and they have, log lines and
But they don't
characters
have
and all the things,
names.
but they don't have names, and I
Right.
hate it so much. And I finally gave up, and I'll give one away. So one show we cast a kid, and his name's Michael David. And so it's the zoo show. So I literally just named it Michael David Goes to the Zoo. Like, ta-da! Like, I don't even know. Really,
Hey, it
it's
works.
so terrible.
It's not inaccurate.
But it's like also not exciting. I mean, he thinks it's exciting.
That's-
This
yeah.
cute little
Sure.
kid. He's like, that's my show.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's right. And if we ever have to recast you, I don't know what to do with the show. The other kid's just gonna be named Michael David as well.
Michael
It's gonna
David
be fun.
2.0.
it'll be
That's
right. Yeah,
It'll be
I literally can't start writing unless I know the name of the script. I couldn't do
I mean, sometimes I feel that, like, and I think with narrative writing, maybe it's much more like that.
Sure.
I'm doing a lot of like educational, like
Yeah.
factual, more, so it's like, okay, it's almost like doing a research paper and then trying to find some fun thing about it,
Yeah.
like, not to say it's not fun, it's just that
It's a different.
it's a different,
thing.
yeah, it can
Yeah.
be made fun.
I mean,
like,
you definitely need to be more straightforward at that realm, certainly. So
yeah,
Michael David Goes to the Zoo.
it's perfect.
I think it's whatever.
They're gonna know what to expect.
That's right.
Yes.
Michael Davis is gonna go to the zoo. It's gonna happen.
And the day he doesn't, everyone's gonna be shocked.
I'm gonna be like, he didn't go to the zoo today, and the penguins cried.
Aw.
And that's what happened. So anyway, yeah, so that's where we're at. I do find that when I write narrative things, sometimes that title really has to come first, and I like just really struggle with it. But it's still hard for me. I hate naming things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go on like a word, like I just like look
like
at
a rabbit hole of
a
words.
rabbit hole of words and definitions and like what they mean, and I obsess over them until I find like something that inspires me and it feels right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just web
What
serve
about
it.
when you guys write character names? Are they the same?
Sometimes they come like this, and then other times it's like weeks of arguments.
Oh,
I would
argument with yourself or
No,
with
each other.
like
I got it. Okay, so you guys are very passionate about those too.
We are.
I like put
Yeah.
like Bob one, like
Yeah.
Bob's assistant. Like I literally hate character names unless they're like, sometimes you have a character name that's like pivotal,
yeah,
right?
it's true.
And that matters. Not that the character doesn't matter, but I mean like the name
It
matters,
does.
right?
It sets a tone.
But other times, like I always feel like I have to see who's cast before I can name the
Oh,
character.
interesting.
That's interesting.
And I just, so like, partly because I don't want to like, I put in my mind like what that character looks like until
Right.
I cast them, right? And so in a lot of times in my scripts, I will put weird names or like names that are just like throwaway names.
Mhm.
And then like I will cast the character and then I'll
And then
change
you
the
come up
name
with it.
based on that person's personality or whatever. Like I feel like really, I don't know, that's kind of a weird approach, but
I think it's cool. Sometimes I change the character's name based off like conversations I have with the actor.
yeah,
Like, do
that's
you
true.
feel like you would be named this? Sometimes no, and then we
Yeah.
right,
come up with the name together.
yeah,
But a lot of times when we're like first coming up with names, I'm in the office and I'm doing my thing, and he usually like works on the laptop in the living room or just like yelling names back and forth. He's like, "It's Betty," and I'm like, "No, Betty sucks." And then just like
that's
it's-
great.
It's a whole process.
Betty, I'm
That
sure you
is
don't
awesome.
suck.
I think that there's a whole nother episode here where we could really dive into like working with your partner in film and what that's
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Just working with your partner.
We are, yeah, oh God. This is why I do not. But we're about out of time.
Yes.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming in today. I'm super excited about the Horror Film Festival. I'm excited to go and be terrified. I'm going to stay the night at your house because
Okay.
someone's going to have to like
Yep,
hold
yep.
me while I sleep. And it's going to have to be you, obviously. Sorry, Mason.
It's okay. We have a
Boys
great
are
couch.
smelly and gross.
That's
You can sleep on the couch.
I'll happily sleep on the couch. It's a great couch.
And yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. So everybody come out and join us.
Please.
And that's about all the time we have for today. It's time for
The new.
a new
New agenda.
agenda. Bye.